everybody. It's February 9th, 2021. Wow. Everybody's patiently waiting, and it's 20 days today. 20 days. And in 20 days, the world has changed, and so has our country. Joe Biden just signed away executive orders like ice cream man delivering ice cream on a Saturday. Boy, I'll tell you. It's incredible. This is the guy who said prior that a man who has to govern by that of executive orders is a dictator, right? I guess he's not lying. He's definitely not lying. He's showing and proving that. But anyway, what we got to consider right now, some of the things going on, we still have something that was interesting to me, was the Supreme Court announces it will soon consider major election lawsuits. I don't have much faith in that. I made that in prior comments and posts that, when you consider the Supreme Court and the actions going on with the Supreme Court, I have very little faith after 2010 in the Supreme Court. I mean, in any of our system actually right now. And I'm telling you what, from what I'm seeing across the country and online forums, and I'm talking to people within my area, my state, even though Florida right now is a feeling very secure state with Ron DeSantis, everybody in our government has issues, and a lot of people just don't have any faith anymore in any branch of government whatsoever, including the justice system. Our Supreme Court in 2010 and forward has turned into a clown show, and the world sees that. The world sees it. And right now, that's the other thing. In online forums I go into, many debates sometimes around the world, I go into these forums that are, I guess some are on dark web, and some are, because, the government doesn't really allow interconnect. You have to do it through a dark web. But I do debates in a lot of different places, and I talk about a lot of things in relation to God, different religions, the threat to the world, the threat to humanity by these things, the democratic democracies of the world around us, how things are still the same as they were for thousands of years, which is self-evident. And I get the opinions of people, and I'll tell you right now, I've been involved in doing what I do and the way I do it now, and for all my life, to be honest with you. And since '95, when the internet became popular, I had pen pals that I used to write to in China, in Japan, and in Ireland and Scotland. I had pen pals from all over the world from when I was a kid that I had kept in touch with for years. That now, through the internet, I've been able to establish those pen pal things with them up into points where their countries actually broke the connection of things where it's changed, and it's just a shame. Some of them I lost contact with that I used to have a lot of contact with as a kid through writing pen pal kind of stuff, but it is what it is. Today I see a different face on the world that scares me. I've never seen before. That face on the world is a fear in humanity all around the world that the light of their last hope is going out. America. This is true, people, what I'm telling you. There are people in India, there are people in China, Japan, all over Europe, and right now even in Africa, and many of the Islamic states like Iran. Those, most people, it seems, are ignorant today to the truth of history and don't realize that Iran once was an ally of America, and in the 1970s they were called the Mini America. They had a constitution verbatim to the United States. They were lacking one constitutional right, and that was the Second Amendment, the right to bear and keep arms and defend themselves. They had a very small military and a small police department. And when we look back at history and we look at the treaties and such like that were made between the United States and Iran, we find that, Nixon and Ford had made strong alliances with them that we would, as the American people, and recognizing them as our strong ally and that of a mini America, we would defend them. Well, the Democrats, when they took control with Jimmy Carter, pretty much allowed for the positioning of the Islamic Muslim overthrow of Iran, and when it happened, they did absolutely nothing to help those. They were our ally, and Jimmy Carter, the Democratic Party, did nothing to help them. It's clear today who their allies are. The Democratic Party has opened the door for the totalitarian Islamic regimes to be able to enter our country as citizens, and as well take up positions in many of our we have 4 members right now of the Islamic States in our Congress, and we have literally hundreds of them across our nation in government positions of county commissions and police chiefs on our police force, and even in our military. It's disgraceful what this treasonous, no good, ignorant government is allowing in this country. And it's really put us at threat when you consider the reality of that. In the last 20 years, more than now nearing close to 5,000 Americans were killed right here on our own home ground by the totalitarian Islamic Muslims who have been a long established and declared enemy of the United States within the first 4 administrations of the founding of our nation by our founding fathers. But obviously the ignorance of this government between Democrat and Republican establishment of what I'm starting to believe the most of the Republican establishment in our government for the majority is nothing but rhinos. And, it's just a sad, sad thing. But we're going to continue on with that because tomorrow I work as well, and I do this like now. I'm doing this. I had quick calls early this morning, and I have calls this afternoon. So I have a break in between. I can do a video, and that's what I'm doing here. Just trying to share my thoughts, my views, my opinions, and what I'm seeing going on in the news and what we all have to consider. You have this lawsuits that are still pending in the court for Donald Trump. In due diligence on these things, I found out that, and I posted, if you go back, there's comments prior, that there was, they say that these cases were dismissed because they didn't have merit. That's not true. It seems that, like I say, why I don't have faith in our justice system, our courts are stacked as well with left-leaning, clearly partial judges. And these judges all judges right now across our nation are in a battle between each other, between those who are conservative constitutional judges and those who are just political establishment pundit puppets that are being put there to do the will of the Democrats and those who are looking to harm this nation. And, there's this constant, one guy says yeah, another guy says no. One guy passes something, the other guy, undoes the order. And it's just a constant, disgraceful battle of what is supposed to be an impartial justice system is clearly now partial and as corrupt as that of the majority of all branches of government right now. It's disgraceful what's happening and what we've allowed to happen to our system of government. But the good news is we have a way to correcting this, both legal and last resolve. But some of the things I would like to say, we'll see how these play out right here. I take it, I have to assume that Donald Trump somewhere believes that he has the ability to still overturn this election if he should prevail in the courts. And if that's possible, I guess in this time right now, looking at the insanity we're witnessing, like the Twilight Zone our nation has become, anything's possible. But the left, I know, the Democrats are threatening massive riots, uprising, this, that, and everything, trying to instill fear. This is what they've been doing since the last 160 years since they lost the Civil War. They established their Ku Klux Klan and been terrorizing people with the threats of harm and civil upset and disruption and destroying communities and burning down buildings. I mean, it's all they've been doing for the last 160 years, these people. So it's not uncommon that they're threatening this. And it seems that the majority of the Republicans in the establishment of government, as well as the public, for the majority, are cowards. They fear this, and that's why they call it silent majority. They're so coward they won't even speak up their own free mind. And, the left depends on that cowardness and timidness of the weak, soft-skinned business Republican man who won't fight and won't open his mouth and will just shut up and be complicit with what they're telling him to do. And that seems to be the case right now. But there is that silent part of that majority that's a minority of true Americans like me. They're going to voice my opinion, going to say what I got to say. And if there's a problem with me speaking with freedom of speech in this country, then obviously that's a reality we all have to face. If I'm banned from speaking my mind of freedom of speech and actually speaking of facts and the truth, well, there you go. That's evident we've lost our republic, right? The First Amendment's dead. But, and obviously we've been witnessing this happening across the nation with people. We've seen it happen at the close of the elections with Donald Trump. They literally closed his accounts down and banned him from being able to speak, along with many other people, like we see right now with Mike Lindell and what have you. These things are going on, and many other conservatives being silenced across our nation. Sad, very sad times in this nation. And the people in power, when you look at like Mark Zuckerberg and the heads of Twitter and the news outlets and all, these people are no Dale Carnegies or anything like of the past or what were true Americans who pioneered who we are this day. These people are more of that of like in line to the communist totalitarianism of fascism. And it's disgraceful what we're seeing on the attack on freedom of speech and freedom of expression. And the thing that I don't get is these people operate their social media outlets on ours to people's internet. So we should have some say and power over this. If you're going to operate a public forum, you should have to respect the constitutional rights of the nation you're operating under. And if you can't, then you should be removed from the internet. That's that simple. We obviously need some alternative social medias that are compatible that out of like Facebook and Twitter, something of more ability. But we've seen what happened with that too, right? We had the one forum that was up, and then they literally stripped them down And they were open to all free speech. That's the only problem. So that's a scary situation when you realize they were attacked for opening up to allow for all free speech, and they were shut down. Very, very scary. But these are the things we're facing in these times. Some governors and government are taking a stand, it appears, against Joe Biden, the left's radical movements. South Dakota's legislation seeks to nullify Biden's executive orders. The question is there enough balls within any of the rest of the government to get behind South Dakota? You see, that's the problem. Right now, you can see the run and suck up of so many Republicans and all these independents and everybody, because they see the Democrats in power right now. They're kissing ass like crazy, ain't they? Bunch of rhino, goddamn coward scumbags, self-serving, no good, disgraceful, treasonous scumbags is what they all are, in my opinion. When you look at these people, realize, how disgraceful they are. When you see these Republicans sucking up in the way they're doing it, and how you realize how self-serving they are. You take, for instance, right here in Florida, we got Mike Fasano, who used to be a Republican, and I hate to say it, but back in the day, back in the 80s, mid-90s, I actually campaigned for this guy. He was a Republican back then, seemed to be a brassy little fella, had balls back then. Now he's a Biden Republican. How the hell can you be a Biden Republican? I don't understand this. I don't understand how any Republican could adhere to the Democratic Party's values, of which, mind you, tomorrow after work, I'm going to start a session that's going to continue out through this week. We're going to break down the Democratic Party and the entire history of them in this nation, and we're going to get to the truth of the matter, that they are still the very same people they were in the founding of this nation, treasonous traitors within, and we're going to prove that. So tomorrow I start a series of history on the breakdown of the establishment of the Democratic Party and who they are, and then the history forward that shows they've never changed. And we're gonna enlighten the world. And what I'm going to ask people to do tomorrow after I do this and I start that series, share those videos, fact check these videos, let's debate these videos, let's get the truth out there, because the problem right now is that those who are complicit with all this corruption and overthrowing of our nation and breaking down our Republican, they have been altering and twisting that of our history. Some call it whitewashing the history, which that might be true with the Democrats. They are nothing but racist anyway. It's a fact. Their history is nothing but filled with racism and superialism. That's who they are. And, they I guess you could say whitewash, because they are white supremacists in truth, though they put a good front up with the people that they use in this nation and around the world of the minorities. It's incredible that people of the minorities are so ignorant and stupid to fall for it, but they do. There's nothing you can do about it. Well, we'll talk about all that forward. But right now we have this here. We got to wonder how many true, I'm going to tell you right now, looking at our government, we do have a minority of good, upstanding, honorable, true Americans in our government in the recent elections that have been placed. And we do have, I believe more so of anything within the LEO sector, we mostly have sheriffs who are constitutional oath keepers that will stand with the people. Many of the city corporate police under government is questionable. The heads of that, and as well as the police officers, from what I'm understanding right now, in a lot of the cities and towns and communities and even counties of city established corporate police under that are like mayors or what have you, town boards or whatever. These police are not even required to take an oath anymore. They don't even know nothing. Well, they take an oath, but they never read the Constitution. There's no civics test or anything involved with them having any understanding of what the Constitution is, which is disgraceful because, it's not like it's a voluminous book to read. You would think, a fifth grader should be able to understand the Constitution, right? You would think every law enforcement officer who takes an oath to the Constitution should be required to at least read and know the Constitution, right? But no, that's not the case. So it's a sad thing. But we'll find out how many true Republicans we still have left. And this right here is a good vetting point for us all to look at our government and watch what they're doing as the people across this nation. The one thing we have to do as the American people is unite. We have to unite. We have to put color, race, foreign origin aside and, unite under who we are as the American people. Another important thing I'll be doing within the history of the breakdown of the Democratic Party is not only about the Democratic Party coming in the next couple days of my videos, It'll be about the establishment of our nation, the principles and values we are founded on, and our Constitution and Declaration of Independence, and how both the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution are truly under the authority of Christian values and principles, and it's undeniable because our founding fathers make it very clear within both documents that we are a Christian founded nation, and that these documents and the rights that are protected in these documents are rights considered to be God-given by that of our Lord Jesus Christ. This is undeniable fact by the documents themselves, which I'll prove. But obviously, people never read the entire Constitution, because I hear from many politicians, I hear on left and right side, they will tell you that God's not mentioned in the Constitution. They will tell you that religion, no religion is protected under the First Amendment, that there is no church and state as one. And that's true. We don't want church and state as one. That's totalitarianism. But they'll tell you that America is not a Judeo-Christian founded nation, that this is not true, but that's a lie. It is true. We are a Judeo-Christian founded nation, and the only two religions of ideology protected in this nation, in truth, are that of the synagogues of the Jewish faith and that of Christian faith. They're the only two that the First Amendment protect, and I'll get into that in the videos as we move forward. But we're going to look right now at some of the things we have. Democrats unveil 1-year plan to send up to $3,600 per child per household. I don't know if anybody's seen my post this morning where I speak on this right here. Is it reminisce of that during the times of Lyndon B. Johnson, and where he kind of reminds me of his words where he says we've got to give them a little something, just enough to quiet them down, not enough to make a difference. And that's what it appears right now the Democrats are trying to do. You know, with the whole thing of immigration and what's going on, understand, these people aren't acting in humanity. It's not about humanity with these people. It's about getting immigrants into this country and acting as their ally to these immigrants simply for their vote. That's all they want. That's all it's about. They want to outnumber that of the actual American awakened. Because I'll tell you what, the true American, the true conservative American that stands for the principles and values of what this nation was founded upon and takes the actual due diligence to understand who they are as an American, the history of this nation, the laws of this nation, our Declaration of Independence, our Constitution, are a minority. But it's always been about the minority. This nation was founded by 3% of the population. The other 97% in the founding time of the War of Independence, they would have gone to their knees for King George III. They really didn't care. They really didn't care. And it's been that way the whole time. The mass majority of the nation benefits from that minority of the true, strong, and the brave who defend and have been protecting this great constitutional free republic for the last 244 years. The true American. And what the Democrats are trying to do is outnumber that true American minority with that of immigrated majority. And they're succeeding in this. This is how they're able to get the massive numbers with illegal votes from illegal aliens. Now that's why they want to convert those illegal aliens to that of legal aliens so they can vote. And they want to keep flooding our nation with this foreign interest. And they have no idea the danger that they're putting on this nation, because they're actually migrating into our nation that of known and long established declared enemies of the United States of America. That of enemies who have been established for over 1,400 years and who have declared since this nation was founded that they're going to destroy this nation, that Americans need to be murdered, killed, death to America. That's their motto. And it has been their motto since this nation was founded. And these ignorant, no good, disgusting, treasonous traitors in our government, out of greed, blinded by greed and power and wanting power, are just filtering them in and using the money that they're paying them off with having them in their pockets to do exactly what they're doing, thinking they're going to up their chances of being able to dominate this nation, because the Democrats have been trying to overthrow this nation since it's been founded. The Democratic Party was established as a treasonous party against that of the constitutional United States Republic. And this is a fact, people. And of course, it's an evident fact no one can deny, because they established it in 1828, and in 1861, they're the cause of the Civil War in their attempt to overthrow the nation. And they've been trying to do that same thing still since 1865, when the Civil War was concluded and the true constitutional republics of the free United States won. They still have not given up. 160 years is not that long of a time. And believe me, they're still at it. They want to overthrow this nation. It seems right now they're really doing good, but they're not. The government itself on the overall across the nation is a minority itself. And the mass majority of even awakened true Americans outnumber them probably 5 to 1, 10 to 1. And we definitely outnumber, within true hardcore conservative Americans who will take up arms and fight in this country, we outnumber that of all the military and LEO in this country across the nation, include the CIA, the FBI, all police, state police, sheriffs, city police, and in the entire military of all branches. We outnumber them about 10 to 1. So, and I don't believe that our military branches of our true military men and women would take up arms against the American people. Though the fortifying of Washington with the National Guard was a very scary and eye-opening awakening, of which I'll mind you right now, what they prepared for didn't happen, not because the American people or the militias of this nation or the true patriots didn't have what it takes to take the capital and the capitals of our nation and overthrow this government. They just weren't really willing to go and shoot their own children, nieces, nephews, brothers, and sisters, because the majority of the true American militia of this nation, that of the Guard, are their children. It's been inherent when you look at the military too, as well in the military. And like I say, I think I have nephews that are in the military. I had nieces that were in the military. I have family that's military. And when you think about this, you realize you would have been doing what Hitler did in Germany, which caused, they talk about the suicide among the military in Germany. In World War II, there was a big issue with that, because when the Nazi Party would move on to a town, the Nazis were very smart. They would make sure the groups of those they were sending were going to areas that they didn't live. And then they would go in and they would do what they did to people in the inhumanity of how they treated people. Then when they would return, they would find out their comrades, as they called them. They would say to them, "Where were you?" And they'd be like, "Oh, I was over here." And they'd be like, "Oh my God, that's my hometown. What did you?" And they're like, "Oh, we killed everybody." And then they realized they were killing each other's families. And that's what would have happened on January 20th had the American militia and the American patriots showed up for a standoff with all our 30,000 National Guard there. We would have been killing that of our own American families' children. And that wasn't going to happen. And that's just disgraceful that the United States government, in an unprecedented act of both Republicans and Democrats, allowed it that kind of pitting of our own military assets against that of the American people. That in itself should be very goddamn scary and awakening to everybody to realize, because let me tell you something, all the National Guard, military of all the branches, including all police, your authority comes by the Constitution. It's what authorizes you to be who you are. The first 3 words of that Constitution is "we the people," not "we the government." And soon, if things don't get figured out here civilly, there's a very high likelihood that we are going to see civil war again in this nation, because I don't believe the American people are going to settle for becoming a banana republic and allowing their rights to slowly be stripped by the dictators who are running our country right now. And you're going to have to make an honest decision to where your allegiance lies, either with the people or that of this tyrannical government. But there's time for the peacemaking of that right now, and what I understand is being debated right now across the nation with that of many in the military and their parents and their families. And right now, this is because, we are, the militia is the American people. And the military is just a branch of that militia that goes abroad. The military is under the authority that we consent to by our Constitution with the government. But the government has no true authority over the militia. It's the people who have the true authority over the militia and the military. It's we the people, and that's under our Declaration of Independence that we make very clear. We the people are the head authority of this nation. So we can't forget these things. But we're going to look at this right here. Like I say, this here is a handout again, where they're trying to quail down the masses right now and get people who they've harmed with their idiocy of this virus and this massive shutdowns and requirements of idiocy that's been going on across this country that destroyed our economy that was booming prior. And, with the stuff that's going on, they keep talking about science and this and that and everything. Here's the God's honest truth, people. Let me tell you something. You have educated idiots and you have people of wisdom. I'm in Florida, know many older doctors. I have many people who are doctors that were of old school. They're up in their 70s, 80s, and they look at this and they think it's ridiculous. And that's because today, the majority of them are acting like today is not like the old days. Back in the old days too, and it's always been this way, just not to the extreme. When you read in history and you read about the old guys with the potions and the wagons going around, and the witch doctors and what have you, and the crazy kooks, trust me, they're still very rampant this day. Now, the other part about it is, which is undeniable fact, and audits that have been being done now for the last 20 years at colleges and questioning students in med school and also law school is lawyers, and those who are in professional positions of what would be considered potential dangers to the society of our nation should these people be going in for corrupt reasons, like doctors, dentists, lawyers, things like this, judges. And we find out the majority of them don't have their heart in what they're doing. It's not about that. It's about greed. It's about a hunger to rise to power and money and wealth and impress everybody in the world. They're not living for themselves or their own morals and values, but they're living to impress the world and the people around them, and to try to be something of, the it of it all. It's all about ego and pride and power and wealth. It's greed. Most of the doctors today don't become doctors because they care about humanity or they even have a real interest. And this is admitted by many of them when you speak to these kids when they're in college. They'll tell you from the door it's about the money. There was a show that was on about young couples that are up and coming with arranged marriages, kind of between that of elitist status families in America. And most of the kids that were portrayed in this family thing was in the pursuit to go for doctors. And you've seen that all they talked about was the young husband and the young wife was about the money he's going to make, and how when he gets out and he does his intern, the money he's going to make, and what hospitals pay the most. Not about how they can help people or what they hope to do or the research they look to want to go into for finding cures. No, they don't care about it. It's about money. And let me tell you, if you really take the time and you look at doctors today, and you go in there, like me, I don't really care for these doctors today. I listen to any of these people are crazy. Most of them are just textbook freaking paper brain idiots, to be honest with you. And they do as they're told. They're complicit with the pharmaceutical companies who just use them as salesmen to pump the pharmacies and the pharmaceuticals. Here's the deal. Let me tell you. When you look at today and what's going on with the medical industry and the pharmaceuticals right now today, if it was true that we needed all that's there, how did the human race even survive to this point? I mean, some of it's to the point of common sense where it's just like, come on, really? Really? But what can you do? This is the state of the world we're in right now and the idiocy we're allowing. And we, the people, are the ones who are failing because, we allow this to go on. We're the ones who allow it. But right now, this is a buy-off attempt. They're trying to buy off that of the mass majority right now of the left base is very poverty-stricken under the Democratic control. This is a lot of money to them. But let me tell you something. This one handout of $3,600 is not going to sustain anybody for a lifetime. But I can tell you what it will do. It's going to put us all in debt for the rest of our lives. That's for goddamn sure. We will be paying, and our posterity will be paying for generations to come to cover the expense of the idiocy that this government continuously does in trying to buy off the problems they themselves create. And that's the other thing I want to say. This government is in total denial. Right now we hear on the news how the right is radical and the left is radical and the people are this and the people are that and the people are the problem and the society is the problem and it's the businessman's. Let me tell you who the problem is. The problem is this government. This government is failing. Every issue of everything that we're facing right now is due to the government's failing. Society, the division, the divisiveness between races, the upset, the rioting, the looting, all of it is happening by that of the actions and the long-standing abuses of overreach of power and neglect by this government. They are failing. And they're pointing fingers out at everybody but themselves. And this is what they do. This is why they want political parties. We need to get rid of the party system, people, because this is what it's about. You see, they use these things of race and color and political party and establishment and society levels of poverty and rich and wealth, all these things to pit us, the people, against each other, to keep us at arms with each other. The whole time you got Democrats and Republicans fighting with each other. I spent a lot of my time trying to educate the Democrats to the truth of their party, and I got to say I had great success. When you can get the Dino, which I call Democrat name only, to actually take the time to research their own history and get past the propagated lies of the things the Democrats have established to try and cover their true identity, and they wake up and they see it, they wake up quickly. They get it. There's a lot of the Democratic platform are true loving American people that have good American principles and values of true integrity in them. They've just been misled to believe that the Democratic Party is a social warrior group, because and out of their own ignorance and as well a failing education system, they haven't been properly educated. And they just trust the government, because what do we tell our kids, right? Trust the government, trust your teacher, trust this one. And then right now, the complicity of corruption and confoundment or propagation and lies and twisting of history and the hiding of the horrors and ugly of what is going on is all complicit within our own government. These teachers' unions and the teachers right now across the Department of Education across our state have been taking huge hundreds of millions of dollars of grants and payoffs from Saudi Arabia and Iran, that's being funneled through Iran, through the oil money, to allow the school teachers and boards of education are insisting that the American people indoctrinate their children with that of known and long established declared enemies of the United States indoctrination by that of foreign totalitarian Islamic regimes. And they're doing it because they're being paid. And these are traitors. These are treasonous people out of greed. And this is happening. And when you realize the reality of what's taking place in our country right now, you realize how we got to where we are, because it's been going on since the 1950s and progressively, decade to decade, getting worse and worse and worse. I know. I've been growing up watching it my whole freaking life. And I see it. I see it. And today I see it at a point right now where you want to know what? We do have a severe virus in this nation. We have a plague right now. And it's this government. This government's the virus. The government is the very cause of every issue we face. And what they do is they create these issues, pitting us against each other, creating racial issues where they get the people fighting with each other, political party issues, they got the people fighting with each other, immigrants to legal, they got fighting with everybody's fighting with each other. Nobody's even looking at the government. And the government's the very one who is causing all these problems and then taking and presenting themselves as the very solution to the problem they caused, of what has been growing now for 50 years, out of control, and under their, because you look right now, you realize like Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, Joe Biden, these people have been in this government now for all that time. They're the very foundation of the very cause of what has brought us to where we are. These people keep promising and have been promising for decade to decade, and they're still promising things they're never going to deliver on, because they've never delivered on it, because they're idiots. They're idiots, people. They're just corrupt, self-serving, inhumane, disgraceful people. Look at their families. Look at Joe Biden's son. Look at the videos and the evidence of the things that were hidden from the American people, of which I assure you, if most knew and realized, they say the apple don't fall far from the tree. We got to wake up, people. We got to wake up and get back to our roots and get back to the founding principles of this nation. And all need to wake up to the truth. And black Americans need to take the time to actually look past the propagated lies of history and learn the truth of that history, so they understand their place too as Americans. Because we're all one people of all equal in this nation, and the majority of them are being lied to incredibly by the Democrats with a twisted version of history of which is nothing near the actual truth of this nation and its founding principles. It's just disgraceful. I will argue right now to any black person, you prove to me that the United States, the Constitution of the United States of America, had anything to do with slavery. You present one fact of evidence that shows that the United States of America had anything to do with slavery. I'll wait on that from all of you. I'll wait on that. Because you know what? The United States, the Constitution of the United States of America, had nothing to do with slavery. Had nothing to do with it. You're all idiots. But anyway, we're going to go back to this here handout. A lot of people are going to be wanting to take this handout. But I tell you right now, we cannot buy and continue to keep trying to buy these problems away. This is how we wound up with the massive debt we have right now in this nation. And what we'll be doing is passing the buck to our posterity, not to mention to ourselves too. Because I assure you, this happens, and we allow them to try and buy their way out of this by buying us off with this little $3,600 payout. We're going to be in debt ourselves for the rest of our lives. And our posterity is going to be in debt for generations to come. And we're not going to find any resolve with this. You know, the Constitution requires that they maintain a balanced budget. These people have failed to maintain a balanced budget in this country since 1915. Okay? And it's goddamn ridiculous. If any business was to operate with the dysfunctional freaking actions of this government, it would have been bankrupt a long time ago. And I'm sick of it. I'm sorry, people. We got to wake up and start holding these people accountable. We got to start doing our part as the people and take our position as the people to hold these people accountable. Now, we can do that because also in the future, and I'm still working on drafting it up, we need a department of we the people. And I want to call that department the United States Citizens Department of Government Control. It'll be a department that regulates and controls that of government. And we have that authority and power. It's consented to us. And we're going to talk about that in the videos that are to come in the next coming week. because it's good. These videos are going to lead up to, and hopefully by the end of the videos, we have what we're going to do it through the 28th Amendment, establishment of the United States Citizens Department of Government Control, is what we're aiming to try and do, what I'm trying to do. And I'm going to need all people on board with this. And we're going to need to go forward with this. We're going to need to share the information, because this is something that we need to do if we want to ensure that in the future our posterity is secure. In the constitutional republic, as we established it, we the people are going to have to take our place and create a place for us to maintain control over this entrusted government, because it's very clear by now these people can't be trusted to control themselves. They're out of freaking control. So with that said, that's what I want to say, and I hope everybody enjoyed this video. It's not going to be as long as what it is. Look forward to my videos where we start with history tomorrow evening. I'll come on. I'm going to be doing them daily on drop-offs and pickups for where we leave off. We're going to cover the entire history as best we can in most detail to get a truthful understanding of who we are as the American people, who the Democrats are, who the Republicans are, and what our true intent was, and as well, who we are as a Christian-founded nation of a Judeo-Christian foundation. And we're going to weigh and look at the measures and understand that we, the people, once we face these truths, have the ability to unite as the American people of all one people of all equal and put an end to all this insanity. And I believe we can do this. We just have to face the truth, accept the truth for what it is, and then move forward with making sure that truth is known among the nation and all Americans. And then we do as what we are allowed as the people, as the highest authority in this nation, to make sure we get things right. So if you watched my video up to this point, thank you very much for your time. I like to welcome and thank all my new friends who are following me now. God bless you all, and let's do this together. We need to keep I want more friends from every state possible to join me here on Facebook or any medium I'm on, including YouTube, so that we can stay united within all the states. And I would like to have somebody from every county, because we're going to need somebody from every county to form the Department of the United States Citizens Department of Government Control. We're going to need true American patriots in every county and every state across this country to kick this off, to make it happen and make it real. So I need people from every county and every state across this country. We need to be together for when it comes to light, so that we all can review this. And if you're that patriot person who's been fed up and disgusted with this government, and you want to do something in your community, in your county, look forward to the 28th Amendment we're drafting right now, and see if you feel that you are what it takes, because we're going to need you. We're going to need every true American patriot across this country to take a position so that we can make this happen. So with that said, I'll see you guys all tomorrow evening after work when I can do my next video where we'll start the history of this nation. And we're going to do that so that we get a good understanding of who we are, what our Constitution is, what our Declaration of Independence is, what the truth of the federal archives and evidence we have that shows what our founding fathers' intent was, and what our true morals and values as American intent was and should be, okay? And who our God and our religion and our ideology is as American people, what it should be. And we're going to look at the facts of that, and we're going to weigh those facts so we understand who we are. And then we're going to establish ourselves as who we are and who we were meant to be. And we're going to put that light back on for the world, brighter than it's ever shined before. I got to believe this. I got to believe this for my children and my grandchildren and all the American posterity, that we can do this. I love America. I love God. God loves me. God loves America. God has blessed this nation greater than any nation in the world history that I have studied all of the 13,000 years of world history. God loves America, and he's blessed us because we are the righteous people of this world. I don't care what anybody says. America's always been great. It will always be great as long as it sustains itself as a true constitutional republic as it was founded and established. We are the greatest people in the world to ever rise, and we will continue to be that until the day we die, as long as we don't lose our nation. We can't do that, people. And I know I have my faith right now rests in God and the true American, and I know there's many true Americans out there. And the last course of resource in this will be to the extreme, of which I hope we don't have to go. But if we do, I am confident 100% that we will do it what needs to be done. We will not allow this to happen. We will not lose our republic. And I'll tell you right now, to the government, you better wake up and face that reality. If you think you're going to steal this nation from the American people, you have lost your ever-loving, crazy freaking sense of mind. But knowing how insane you freaking people are and distorted you are and out of touch with reality, I don't think you'll grasp the reality of what I'm saying anyway. But I could say this to the FBI, to the CIA, to those who may be questionable in our military, you better wake up to it too, because I'll tell you right now, it's not going to happen. If you think you're going to be able to order that of your own military, our children, our nephews, our brothers, our sisters, our nieces, our cousins who are in it, no, it's not going to happen, trust me. And that's why America's been established the way it's been established, because that's not going to happen. So you idiots who are thinking that you're going to do whatever it is in the insanity of what you're doing, you're not. And then to like people at the FBI, CIA, state police, even city police, know most of you seem unreachable, and I know the sheriffs are. The sheriffs yourselves, you should be taking a position as the sheriff of the law enforcement elected official of the county to make sure that corporate city police are understanding. You should be yourselves doing constitutional audits on these officers, making sure they understand where their oath is to the people. We the people is the first three words of that Constitution, not we the government. You as a sheriff are an independent elected official under your own authority and trusted by the people to be the constitutional officer of your county. It's your obligation, it's your responsibility, it's your duty to ensure that law is being administered by that of the Constitution. That's what you're elected for as an elected sheriff, as a constitutional officer. You should take that serious and do your duty in the preservation of that of our Constitution, our Declaration of Independence, and that of the United States Republic for that of our posterity. With that, I'm going to end. Thank you all for your time, and I'll see you tomorrow evening. I hope all enjoyed my video. If you like to comment, you can comment below. If you want to debate something about what I said, we can debate it below. If you have any news, information, or whatever, post it in the comments below. Thank you all. Have a God bless day, and I'll see you tomorrow.